The redneck philosopher. Very Icelandic, I tell you. Yes. And philosophy, yes.
Hi, I'm the redneck philosopher, and today I'm going to talk about a few topics. It's going to be a little bit of a rant, but let's start with just the obvious one. And that's American interventionism. Now, American interventionism has about as much to do with Middle Eastern extremism as, the bitch being mouthy has to do with domestic violence and why a drunk husband is beating her. It's a fucking stupid thing. Now, does America have interventionism? Sure. Could it slightly annoy some people? Probably. Does that have anything to do with verse 9:5 in the Quran about killing all the infidels? Fuck no, America wasn't even in a fucking idea when that thing was written down. So, blaming America for a problem that started 1,400 years ago is about as dumb. And I truly can't emphasize it. It is dumber than believing that queer Stalin has anything to do with prosperity when it comes to Britistan. Like, for fuck's sake. Now, since we're talking about the Middle East and a certain ideology, maybe we have to look at the genocidal dilemma. The genocidal dilemma is like this, because we're not going to name the ideology, we're just going to call it I, for ideology. And that ideology commands the genocide of all other ideologies. Now, the only way to stop that ideology is to literally genocide said ideology, enhancing the genocidal dilemma of if we don't, they're going to genocide us. And if we do, we become the people that committed the genocide. So, pick your poison. The thing is that this is not new under the sun. This is not a problem that we are looking at for the first time at all. And if we would have looked at our stories, all the little children's stories, all the moral stories, even the biblical stories, for fuck's sake, for those of you that, pretend to be Christians, you should really read your Bible, because it contains a lot of good things, and one of the things it contains is stories about stereotypical behavior of humanity. Now, I'm Icelandic, as most of you guys know, and in Iceland we have a story that sounds very similar to Baba Yaga. It's called Grýla. It was a giantess that ate children, and she had a husband called Lappalúði, and they are precisely the stereotypical negative view of a couple. The lazy husband that doesn't do shit, the naggy bitch that is constantly stirring up shit, and then, with a splat of cannibalism. And they had 80 children, and those 80 children are just the manifestations of negative stereotypical behaviors of humanity. It's quite fascinating. The Yule lads that we have, even though there is not Christmas, it's okay to talk about it though. We have 13 Yule lads, and they are all the sons of Grýla, because originally the Icelandic Yule lads were not nice guys. Santa Claus, that mixture all has a, in Iceland it had a way older story about negative human behavior. Maybe we should revisit old stories and look at the human behavior because it hasn't changed through history. It hasn't changed at all. Now, and that's the thing. We in Europe, we don't have freedom of speech because Europe is quite tyrannical. I know when I will put this up, I have a good possibility of getting a visit from the pigs because I'm just gonna say it out loud. You're not allowed to say the truth about everything in Europe because Europe is tyrannical and it's quite evil. The EU with Führer Ursula is just as much shit as the dictatorship of queer Stalin in Britistan. Nazi Germany is running the Third Reich now, called the European Union. I don't see the difference between, the European Union today and the Third Reich 80 years ago because, it's a shit sandwich. And I really don't give a shit. And I truly mean it when I say I do not give a shit if the bread is whole grain or not when it contains shit between. Because I don't want to eat a shit sandwich. I do not care about the bread. And that's the thing. All that politics in Europe has been for the last 20 years is what type of bread do you want with your shit sandwich? Maybe we should say no to the shit sandwich. And when I say no to the shit sandwich, I mean say no to the shit sandwich. Not just the lying sacks of shit that control government today, but also the lying sacks of shit that are trying to control the government of tomorrow, because they're also a piece of shit that just want to serve your shit sandwich. I'm just gonna say it out loud. Hamas picker, the American Islamist fag, yeah, he hates America and he's an Islamist. He just wants Islam to take over. Just like, the chunk yogurt, his, nephew son or whatever, his uncle daddy or whatever, the one that celebrates the genocidal group of the Young Turks by naming his company that. Naming your company after a genocidal group. Yeah. That's retarded. That's like if I would go, you know what? I'm thinking about opening a news agency called Hitler Youth. I'm not a fucking German. I'm not retarded. God damn, that chunk yogurt is naming his fucking brand by a genocidal group. That's retarded. If anything was retarded, chunk yogurt is the retarded one. And that's the thing. It doesn't have anything to do with the color of your skin. It doesn't have to do with the melatonin in your body. It has to do with the ideology in your head, and Islam is the worst when it comes to that. Piss on their upon their believers, and the pedo conmen that they follow. This was the Redneck Philosopher. Please subscribe, like, help me with the algorithm, comment. You Muslims that watch this, and then, comment, tell me how much of an asshole I am. But yeah, ciao, peace.